Thousands of years ago, after the seven sovereigns were defeated by the primordial one, TEYVAT and CELESTIA were created by the latter. And then humans came into being. And they were the primordial one's most cherished creation. They lived in peace and harmony, and as long as they were happy, the primordial one was rejoiced too. But all this peace and joy didn't last long, because an individual known as the Second Who Came brought a brutal war to TEYVAT. But the winner is still a big mystery, and we'll discuss it in this video. According to the current lore, the primordial one won the war against the Second Who Came. But after the war, the primordial one's actions has changed and started doing some things that doesn't fit his character, which suggests that the true winner might be the Second Who Came and is impersonating the primordial one's identity. The Seelies are created by the primordial one, and they used to live in the heavens. Nabu Malikata, the flower goddess, is a Seelie, and was present during the war between the first and the Second Who Came. She confirms that the primordial one won the war, and is still ruling Celestia, as she warned King Deshret about him. But as I said before, this doesn't make sense because the primordial one's actions changed. For example, after defeating the Second, the primordial one cursed the Seelies and kicked them from the heavens for no reason. But now you may be wondering, why am I saying that the Second is the winner, while Malikata confirmed that the primordial one is still ruling? Well, we know that information can be changed in the Irminsul, so it's very likely that the Second made everyone think that he's the primordial one using the Irminsul, thus tricking and fooling every TEYVATian, including the Seelies. Nabu Malikata said that the divine nails were dropped by the primordial one to stop what seems to be forbidden knowledge. But then how would she know the primordial one's true intentions? She was already kicked out from the heavens. In Nahida's second story quest, we meet Apep, who told us something.
As I attempted to collect more forbidden knowledge from the corners of the world, as it was on the verge of collapse, I was stopped by the giant spike that fell from the sky. Sand dunes arose where there was only forest.
Apep told us that a divine nail fell on her, which created the desert we see today. But what if Celestia was targeting someone else instead of Apep? And I mean Nabu Malikata, the flower goddess, because it's heavily hinted that she died from that divine nail that Apep talked about. So it's very likely that the Second, who is impersonating the identity of the primordial one, through the nail at Malikata, which also hit Apep, thus hitting two birds with one stone. I think the reason why the Second wanted to kill Malikata is because he cursed all the Seelies, but she somehow survived. Well, after all, she is known as the last survivor of the Seelie race. Next, we're gonna talk about the ancient civilizations that used to worship the primordial one, such as Salvandanar, Upside Down City, Surumi, and Byakuyakoku. The civilizations that I just mentioned used to belong to a single unified civilization, hence why their architecture is very similar. Well, that's just to name a few. The reason I brought up these old civilizations is because they all suffered from something after the war between the First and the Second. For example, Salvandanar was destroyed by a divine nail, which caused the never-ending snow. Next we have the Upside Down City, which most likely suffered the same fate, since there's another divine nail nearby. Then we have the ancient civilization of Surumi Island, which is much older than Ruse Tride. This old civilization was also hit by a divine nail, which caused the fog. The nail is nowhere to be seen on the island, so maybe it's buried underground. And last but not least, Enkanomio, which was known back then as Byakuyakoku. This civilization was separated from TEYVAT during the war between the primordial one and the second. A few years later, after the war between the two started, The Enkanomians thought that the war has surely ended by now, but to their surprise, they found out that the Primordial One had laid down a ban that prevented them from escaping. But then again, why would the Primordial One do such a thing? Why wouldn't the Primordial One save his most cherished creations? Why did the Primordial One ignore his people? As I said before, all of this doesn't make sense, as these actions don't fit the Primordial One's character. Which leads me to think that the actual winner, the second, is destroying or hiding evidence of the Primordial One's existence, such as the civilizations, the murals, and the believers. During the Arkan War, Orobashi ended up in Enkanomiya and became their new god. When he wanted to take the Enkanomians back to the surface, he came upon a book. This book is called Before Sun and Moon. This book is forbidden to read by ordinary folk, but Orobashi didn't know, so he read it anyway. But little did he know, he got himself in big danger, because he got a death sentence from Celestia for reading that book. The said book mentions the good deeds of the Primordial One, and describes his deep love for the humans. But it also mentions the arrival of the second who came, the war and the ban laid down on Enkanomiya. So maybe the second, who's faking his identity, is trying to hide the truth, because if the Primordial One is the winner, then he would let people know about his heroic achievements. To sum up everything I've said so far, a brutal war happened between the ruler of Celestia, the Primordial One, and an intruder known as the Second who came. The Second won the war, and impersonated the Primordial One's identity, and started deleting evidence of the existence of the Primordial One in case someone finds out. But if there's anyone who somehow finds out the truth, they'll be killed. I think this theory makes sense, because the idea of the Primordial One killing humans and not caring about them is way out of character. And as Zhongli once said,
"For how could a god who had never once resisted, even till the end, nurse hatred for her people in her heart?"
But wait, if the Primordial One lost, then where are they now?